I understand what you tell me about your concept, about your approach, about all the informations of the Western and the Eastern way of living. But if you cannot convince your innermost circle, like your family, that your way is the right way, how can you convince any other groups that are much larger in the community, and also if you want to maybe reach out to Adventists? So if you cannot convince your family to follow your philosophy and your vision, I think they accept it, but they don't follow you. So how can you continue with this?
Well, I can never convince the Indian Christians to accept and to follow my views, my mission. I realized this after 40 years. If I would have realized this back, maybe 10, 12 years back, I could have changed different things. Because now I feel that I wasted 40 years of my life trying to change the Indian Christians, their thinking, their behavior, their approach to evangelism, or their approach to other religions. I thought I can convince, but now I have to come to a conclusion. I cannot convince. They will be never convinced. So let them be there in their own religious comfort zone, religious theology, and they cannot change it. This is very, very important that I have come to that conclusion after so many years. I wish I would have come to that conclusion long time ago. That's the only regret I have. Right now, my concern is how long I would live in this world. I am faced with a lot of health issues, but still, at least I would like to leave my understanding, my theology, and my views and values as a legacy here. If somebody can pick it up, want to follow it, they can follow it. A friend of mine told me, hey, maybe it might take 100 years. After 100 years, some people might come and look at you and say what you are doing is right, but not now. So somebody told me, Solomon, you have to preserve all your writings and don't lose them. They are very important, although you can't do everything right now. So these are few suggestions people give to me. So that's what I'm trying to do. At present, I am a kind of a very loner here in the ashram, because for everything I have to be here and guide people, tell them what to do, etc. and all. If I am not here, things will not go the way I want the things to go. So I have not yet found a single person who has at least similar interest or a similar vision, not the same, but somewhat similar. If I get somebody who can work with me with the similar objectives, I am sure the vision I have, that would continue. Otherwise, it will not continue. That is the story of many Christian ashrams started by the individuals. I have read about other ashrams. Personally, I have visited many ashrams. All those ashrams are dead, I can say. The ashram movement has become a failure in India. The reason is the Western Christianity is the barrier for the ashram movement in India. So that's a real situation here, and I have to accept that situation and go on with my life, and that is it. And my mind is kind of prepared for it. At least whatever I can do with the time I have, I do my best, and that is it.
Out of the Hindu context, you take some ideas and concepts. You take also some from the Buddhist, also some maybe from the Muslim, and definitely many concepts also from Christianity and Adventism.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that in a way you are competing with Adventism because the lifestyle your wife has been brought up till the present shows you how somebody can very easily live a life in the West and be happy in the West and just live the life of an immigrant in the US, but you having a feeling always to return, to also go back in time, also going back into Hindu history, also into Hindu political matters, and also back into universalist religious approaches. This causes more problems than reaching out and finding a peaceful, harmonious lifestyle in India for you. So there are these two systems. The system your wife did not really have to do a lot.
Yes.
She lived into that because she was just on the rails leading to heaven. Your way is not leading on any rails back into Hinduism, but also not into Christianity, maybe a little bit into the native church of your wife. This causes a lot of burdens, and it's also sickening in a certain way. So where do you really stand in all that?
Well, I expected that my wife will understand me and follow. I wrote a letter to my wife 50 years ago that gives all the ideas about my mission, my call, my vision, etc., so on. And I expected my wife would understand and then really follow my ways. Because generally in the Indian culture, wives follow the footsteps of the husband, because it's a kind of a very communal society. Whereas people who are brought up in an individualistic society, they have their own vision, they have their own lifestyle to follow through. I didn't understand these things 50 years ago. Okay, so it has come to a place, my wife says, hey, look, you do what you want to do, I do what I want to do. Don't expect me to be part of your journey. My journey is entirely different. Okay, I accepted it. My wife clearly told me, you can sit and have a worship starting with Om. Don't expect me to say Om. That's, if you want to say, you say it. All right? So that would clearly, tells me that it will be very difficult for my wife to follow what I think the best for me to follow here as a husband and wife. Also, coming back to lifestyle, now my Hindu family, they have they all wear some ornaments, and that is well accepted. In India, it is part of our culture. But my wife doesn't have any ornament except the wedding sign, we call it thali. Her forefathers comes from the native Sabbath-keeping church, and they all had the ornaments, even still they have the ornaments. When the missionaries came, when they brought the people into Adventist church, and those ornaments also gone. If any person would join the Adventist church, they had to remove even the thali. But as the days went by, they realized the thali is an important symbol and the church has to accept it. So they changed the policy that Adventists can have one wedding symbol and that's it. Whereas the Indian culture is different, entirely different. If you want to identify with the Indians, with the Hindus, you have to have some simple ornaments. If not, you are out of place among, millions of Hindus and the Muslims here in India. But my wife will have a hard time to do that. I asked my wife to have a earring. No, she likes to have a earring, but she says, oh, if I put earring, what would others think? What my sisters think? What would people from our church think? It's very difficult for me to do it. So sometime when she goes to universities, address the Hindu people in that kind of a setting, she agrees to have a earring. So she has a kind of a earring. She can just put it on and go address the university students. As soon as the seminar is over, she will come out. The first thing she does is to remove it. Now, she has to play a kind of acting role in this without deep conviction to have it for life. Okay, I was able to understand this position she has and the trouble she has, so I leave it to her, for her choice. I didn't want to force her at all. If she would wear a earring or a bangle here, that means she will be thrown out of all her Adventist relatives here. They will look at her saying, hey, look at this person got married to a guy who became a pagan again. She is all following the ways of a pagan husband, and it will be very hard for her to work it out. She also cannot convince all those people at all. So I came to a place, let each one live in their comfort zone. God is not going to throw these people into hell because they don't follow these things. All right. As far as the salvation is concerned, God is great. God is love. God loves everybody, regardless of their denomination, religion, etc. In my view, so many people God will bring to His kingdom, people from so many religions and so many cultures. Basically, my idea of salvation is based on God's will, not God's reason. There is a difference between these two. And this is my basic idea in regard to salvation. If God can bring people from according to His will, He can bring so many people who are not Christians.